Hello, everyone. I hope that it's a wonderful Sunday excuse me, I said Sunday. See, I'm already starting off all messed up. Let's try this again. Okay. It is a wonderful Wednesday. I was trying to go through all the days of the week. I'm like, what day is it? It's a wonderful Wednesday. And yes, it is about 7 o'clock here and it's noon in Texas. And I'm so thankful and happy to be here. So just in case you don't know who I am or what I be talking about, my name is Yolanda. I am Locating Cozy, and this is a broad chat. So thank you guys for joining. And if you're catching the replay, I hope that this is just going to be just as fun and entertaining for you as when it's going on right now live. And so please do make sure that you thumbs up this episode. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and make sure you hit the notification bell so you will always know when I have something very, very insightful to say, whether it's live or just a post or, I just think I'm being smart. Okay. Anyways, I do want to go ahead and bring on my wonderful guest today, who's been so gracious, and I'm so thankful for her. Hello, Miss Tracie. How are you doing? You are muted.
Child, I forgot.
Like, let's try that again.
We both trying again. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Oh wow, yes. This is really like a big thing because I was on your channel 4 months
ago? I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I was on your channel 4 months ago. So when I got up I took a cat nap and it was like 2 o'clock, and I was so scared because it was 2 o'clock in the morning here. It was 1 or 2 in the morning here when I did it, but I was like, no, we're gonna go live. I can do this. And so I took a nap beforehand because again, it was 1:30, 2 o'clock when I went live. And I literally kept dreaming that I missed it. So I kept I kept like dozing off, and I was like, and I just had this whole thing, like I missed the whole thing, and I was freaking out. So when I did finally wake up, I was like, oh Jesus, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. No, thank you for having me.
Thank you. So I want to make sure that we are actually live. I saw a luxury bucket list come on, but yeah, okay. We're going to act like it is, and people come on and they'll show up when they're ready. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I know we have our topic today because I was reading about you and I have found out so much. It's like every time when I kind of do the deep dive, because I want to make sure I'm asking good questions, but I try to avoid asking the questions that probably everybody else has already asked you. But after a while, you've been interviewed so many times.
Yeah. No, it's okay. I mean, you can totally ask me whatever. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Hello. Hi, Kioka. How you doing, love? I appreciate you showing up.
Hi, my darling.
We're just all one big happy family here. So before I get started, I always like to ask a couple of questions, and I want to make sure. And one of my questions that I do like to ask is, what's going on? People say, what's going on in your world over here? What's going on in your world? Please do share.
Let me see. In my world. Okay, so personally, right? We're doing the
personally, like what's been going on this week? Just,
random stuff. So I think I have one more meeting after we're done. And then I'm actually going to change my nose ring out, like as superficial as it sounds, because I've had this one for years and now it's getting loose. So I'm going to walk down because there's a tattoo piercing place right just in my neighborhood. And I'm going to walk down and I'm going to do that. And hopefully I won't get another tattoo while I'm in there.
Hopefully you will or you won't.
Hopefully I will not. I have 9. So hopefully I won't, but that's it. It's warm here. It's we didn't really have a winter, so it's warm. It's in the 80s. So one of the things about living here in San Miguel is like once you get out, you don't want to go back in. It's like you say, "Oh, I'm out. I'm just gonna run this errand," but then it feels so good to be outside. You end up staying outside for about 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of my world today. I got up, I did my yoga, and what else? I'm making my sourdough bread, my Hoochie Girl sourdough. So I'm making Hoochie Girl.
She's-
Yes, Hoochie Girl has her own brand, her own name. She even has her own YouTube channel. So she's getting ready to have her own Hoochie Girl line, her store of products. So I'm doing that, and so yeah.
Is this yours or is this somebody else you know?
No, no, her name is Hoochie Girl.
Okay.
No, it's mine. Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Gotcha.
I learned how to make sourdough starter. So the joke is I don't like bread, but I do enjoy sourdough from time to time, and I enjoy a good croissant once in a while. So I learned how to make sourdough starter from TikTok. And so I showed my journey on TikTok of making sourdough starter.
Oh,
And so now I've had my sourdough starter for I want to say a month now, and it's a long it can be anywhere from 8 days to like a 2 to 4 week process just in getting the starter right. But she had I think her process was about 15 days, so I've had her on rest. So now I'm like officially testing out my sour. I did make some sourdough biscuits, so Honey enjoyed that because again I don't like bread. And I did make some focaccia. So these are the things that happen when you move abroad and you discover things about yourself that like you didn't know you were interested in or didn't know that you liked. So that's my world. Like I'm making
okay.
Hoochie Girl. I'm making
Wow.
I'm making
Okay.
Hoochie. Her name is Hoochie Girl for a reason. So when you start with sourdough, it ferments. So that's the
Mhm.
sour taste that you taste. But the fermentation is called hooch. Hooch. So
Oh,
I just started calling her Hoochie Girl, and she has her own everything going on now. So Hoochie,
okay.
yeah,
Okay, she's been busy. Okay.
she's busy. So now she's about to be her first loaf.
That is so funny. So my oldest daughter that lives in Houston, she just a couple of weeks ago was making, and she had to like do the whole starter thing, and she went on the same journey just a few weeks ago.
See?
And we were talking because
Good,
we have a scheduled conversation that we have like video chat. We'll try to do once a week. And she was like, "Yes, I'm making some sourdough." And she was like, "The starter didn't work out good at first, and she had to went on this whole journey." So yeah,
yeah. And
I
so
did pick
many
that up.
elements matter, like your elevation, the climate matters, of course the different flour matters. So I just learned so
You have
many
to be a
things.
full blown chemist.
Girl, girl. I was like, this is why I failed baking in culinary school because I'm not a baker. That's another thing is I'm not a baker. I'm a cook, but I'm not a baker.
Yeah.
And so, but I've always wanted to learn how, not always, but wanted to learn how to make sourdough from, I would say the last probably 4 years. So now I'm actually doing
Okay. Wow. That is okay. Different journey,
it.
definitely. So what's
Yeah.
going on in my world is that I have so I decided because I've had so many people ask me like through like here on my YouTube channel, whatever, ask me about parenting since I live in Spain, about what it's like to have school age children here in Spain and what does that look like. And I don't know because my kids are grown and gone. I
Mhm.
have my granddaughter, she's 3, she was born here, so that experience is going to be different. So I decided, and I put the word out through all the different channels like Melon Madrid and all that if
Mhm.
you are a parent of a school age child, I would like to interview on my channel. Now
Yeah.
I went to like all these like Black in Spain, the Malaga, like all the different places, like 5 different groups on Facebook. One person replied. One
Really?
person. It's like, are there no Black expats with school age children here? What's going on? So
But
I just went down a complete rabbit hole. So, anyways, the one person that I did reach out to me, we talked. I can't wait to have her on next week. But then I was like, you know what? Let me come at this a different way. So I went on YouTube and looked for Black expats with family in Spain, and I reached out to them directly. I was like, I need you to come on my
Mhm.
YouTube channel.
Right,
So
right.
yeah,
Oh,
but I
good.
went down a whole rabbit hole because I was like, okay, well, you reached out to 3. That should be enough. And I was like, no, I need more. Okay. So
No, 3 is good because it gets the ball rolling and it actually shows that, there is representation out there. Yeah.
yeah, yes. And I have to stop myself because again, I go down a rabbit hole and I know this, and I had to literally say, that's enough, girl. Now go to your next project.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Good.
just so yeah. But okay, so let me see. I was just gonna check and see what some people were saying here. Just a second. Oh, Wendell says
They
baking and
are,
two
baby.
different. Yeah, yeah.
They are 2 different categories. Baking, my mom's a baker, and you literally are a chemist. You have to have exact measurements on everything. When you're a cook, you can play and everything isn't exact. So it's a
Yeah.
different category.
And so I get it. I get it. So I'm definitely more of a cook because I can create more. I can be more creative. It's like I
Mhm.
can't really be creative when I have to do measurements because that scares me.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is intimidating. I'm not gonna lie. It is.
So the other thing that I like to ask a lot of times, and I want to know because we are Black women that give so much sometimes, what are you doing? How are you locating your cozy? What are you doing to put yourself first, to make you feel good, something that's just for you? Might help somebody else somewhere along the lines, but what have you done this week that's just for you?
For
Please do
me,
tell.
my yoga, I'm glad that I've gotten back into my yoga practice because I like slow mornings. I am very intentional about how I start my days. And so I make sure like I'm not coming into harsh lighting. I'm not spending too much time on my phone. That I, do my skincare routine in the morning and kind of wake up and then get into my body and deep breathing and things like that. So those self-care for me really is about things that are free and how I can incorporate them into my everyday routine. And the other stuff is just extra. Like if I were to um I don't say even go get my nails done, but to be honest, my nail tech comes to my house. So I have a lot of services that come to my house. So, and those are the things that I do for myself too. Like I up my housekeeper to come weekly instead of bi-weekly. I started making a list of where, we're going to start vetting cooks soon to come to the house. And I started just kind of curating a list of how we would like our meals to be. And those are the things that I do for myself. I slept all night, you know,
Okay.
those things. Like I move slower. I've condensed my work week to 3 days in the week. So my other 4 days is how I want to spend them. You know?
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
I was about to say, because I'm the one that actually initiated this whole like, how are you locating your cozy? And so
Yeah.
now every time I go live or ever I post, I'm like, how are you locating your cozy? And then I have to think, how have I located my cozy? I'm like, oh, this is picture.
It's
This is
always
picture.
it's always the
Okay.
one. I call that the hairdresser analogy. Like you can make everybody else's look good, but or ours be looking a mess. Like I could do this for you, tell you how to do this, but what am I doing for myself? Hmm.
Yeah, exactly, Steph. And I'm like, oh, but then I realized because sometimes I'll be like, I don't have anything because you forget about some regular stuff that you've done just to make yourself happy. Be like, that doesn't qualify. Yes, it
It
does. I
does.
didn't do a live on Sunday. How about that?
Good.
Okay.
It does. It takes a lot to come on and give it energy. People don't think that the energy transmute via screen, but it absolutely does.
Mhm.
You have to be
Yes.
on, you have to have certain elements in place, and then you give a lot of yourself. I know because I do it every Friday night, so mhm.
Yes. And me committing to, I committed to going on 2 days a week. I was supposed to be transferring to 1 day a week, 2 Sundays. But then I'm like, you know what? I like going live on these 2 days. And plus it gives, because I'm talking to people from different time zones,
Mhm.
it gives better options
Yeah.
also. But
Yeah.
yeah, I literally, and I didn't know that I wasn't going to go live until probably like an hour before. And I had like a little outline, but then I was like, maybe it was a couple hours before because usually by then I'll have like up my little thumbnail. But I was on my couch because my granddaughter had spent the weekend. My daughter and her husband, my son-in-law, they had their anniversary last week, so they went to Madrid
Uh-huh.
and for the weekend, and so I had the baby like all weekend, and there was stuff happened. Anyways, everything's fine. She's wonderful. But
Good.
afterwards, after everything was said and done, I was like, I'm tired. So I don't know, about maybe 4 o'clock. I laid 4 o'clock my time, which I go live on Sundays at midnight my time. So I was like on the couch, sleeping good. And then I woke up and I was like, you got to get up and make sure you get that. I was like, no, you don't. No, you don't. I'm gonna locate my cozy and roll over. And I created a quick little post for YouTube saying no live today, and roll back over and went back to sleep. Okay.
Yeah. You have that option and you exercise that option. Absolutely.
And it felt freaking amazing. Okay. And so yeah, that's how I located my cozy, and with absolutely no regrets at all.
Good.
Yeah.
You should. You should.
So Tracie, I know you are very much known in the community of Exodus Summit, Black women that just Black women making big moves, period. You're known.
Really?
No, girl, don't play.
Okay. I don't think so. I think because I'm just in my bubble. Yeah, I don't think. Okay. Well, okay, good. Thank you.
And I have to tell you this. So I was telling my daughter that lives here, I was like, I'm interviewing Tracie Collins and stuff. I said, she is really cool. You may not know this, but your vibe is just so, I'm sure I'm not the first person to ever tell you this. Your vibe is just so like, does she stress about anything? Okay.
No, I don't. You are absolutely, and I'm glad that resonates.
Yes.
And I'm glad, and thank you for saying that. Thank you so much, because I always think, I think you're super sassy. That's one of the things I love about you, because that's my goal. Like, I'm sassy too, but like when I admire, Black women who are older than me who still have that level of sass, I was like, okay, good, I can keep going. Good, I can keep going. No, I don't. I try not to, because number one, it ages you, and a lot of times things are out of our control anyway. I don't know if I can cuss on your channel, so I'm gonna.
Absolutely, girl. Okay.
So my give a fuck barometer is very low, and I'm like that by design, but I'm also like that intentionally, because if it's not impacting my immediate life, and if it's not impacting my my family immediately, it could wait.
Yep.
It could wait.
Sometimes it's a learned trait or characteristics. Yours just seems to flow so naturally.
Because I told you it's real low. It's real low. It's my ignore game is, how us as moms, we can tune things out easily. I just apply it across the board. I don't know if the internet is working right, but I apply my ignore game very, very broadly. So the things that I care about are very low.
That's good.
Very
That's
low.
good. So tell us, I have my coolness, or my, like not giving two fucks about anything, has come over time. But I'm perfecting that technique. Okay.
Good. Yeah, because it's just like, we shouldn't have things that remove us from our center too much. That's giving too much of our power away. And I just choose not to.
I love it. I admire it so very much. So Tracie, for those who don't know you, I haven't developed my elevator pitch because I just be talking and stuff, but can you tell us a little bit about yourself before we go into it? Tell us, Tracie, about you.
So my name is Tracie Collins, and in my business world, I help women create scalable, sellable businesses. And I do that because I've done it successfully myself. So that's my elevator pitch.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Yeah. So how long have you lived in San Miguel now?
We have lived in San Miguel since October 2023, but we've lived in the country of Mexico since August of 2023.
Wow. Okay. Was it so? Going through that journey, okay, back me up, remind me, because I've talked to you. I haven't talked to you, but I've seen you being interviewed before and stuff. Who was more open? Was Honey was your family or your kids, or who was more open, or who was kind of like, I don't know about all this, or
everybody was like,
into it?
No, no, no. Everybody was like, I don't know about this. I was like, you want to stay connected to me? I'm leaving. You coming? That's kind of how. um, and so that's how it happened. I was like, I'm leaving. You coming or not? You want to keep me sane? You coming or not? You want to be connected? What you doing? Because I knew what the United States is experiencing now. I knew it was going to happen, and
Mm-hmm.
knowing, being very connected intuitively, I have to listen to those guides even when it sounds and feels crazy and unrealistic. And I also felt like when we started the process in 2022, that I was behind. I felt I was behind the bar, and I felt I was too late. I thought like, oh my God, am I missing it, or did I miss the curve? So I felt that in 2022 when we started the process of scouting, because we scouted 8 different places, including SMA. SMA was, well, our journey here was different, but we scouted 8 different locations. So throughout the country. So it was very
About
intentional. I moved
Mexico
very
itself.
in Mexico itself. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Wow.
Mhm.
So, because I don't know why. So when you say that, I'm kind of like, why did I think that you've been there? You said 2023. I'm like, I feel like you had been there so much longer. You're like, no.
I know, right? So I started coming into the country in May of 2022, Mother's Day weekend, and basically I haven't left. I left, but I kept coming back. I left, but I kept coming back. And I learned so much about the Mexican culture, the Mexican people, and the Mexican people are very different in Mexico than they are in the States. So learning that part, learning the connection with Afro-Indigenous Mexicans, and also learning the connection with um, Black Americans from the States to Mexico, learning the history there. So my love for the country got deeper and deeper. And one of the things that I don't like, that I see a lot of people doing, is people are moving places without asking permission of the land and the ancestors of the land before. And they don't understand why they don't feel settled there, or something isn't right there. So when I knew I wanted to live in Mexico, I actually went to the waters, and I was in Tulum. This was my second time in Tulum. Okay.
What's wrong?
Okay. Hold on. You went away. I just gotta find you again.
Oh,
Yeah, I gotta. Okay, well, I don't even. Okay, there we are.
okay. I'm like,
My screen just went closed out.
oh, okay.
What I did was I went to the waters in Tulum, and I said, if it's okay for me to be on your land and to come into your country, please show me and make it possible. Show me either way. And I did. I asked permission because I didn't want to come into a place where I wasn't welcome, or it would be tumultuous, or the path wasn't made clear. And so my path has always been clear in being in Mexico, and just being, essentially granted permission by the ancestors of the land. I think that's what made my transition, outside of our experience in Mexico City, which was very, very isolated, but just being received overall throughout the country, has been honestly pretty seamless.
Okay. And I get, for some, because when you said I didn't ask permission, I'm like, who you ask permission for? Who? But I get what you're saying. I understand, because I think it kind of speaks to when we say, like, some people will move, like, in, I guess what I might call, like they've heard it on the internet. They're like, oh, we got to go there. But
Yeah.
they're not feeling settled there because they are not, there's not a real connection that they're
Mhm.
feeling. And so when we
Mhm.
say, like, you might have to go check out a couple of places before you decide, because you have to feel it. You
Mhm.
have to
Mhm.
know somewhere in your heart. And not saying that once you feel it, that's where you are. And if you find out later on that it ain't it, that
Mhm.
you have to stay. Not what we're
Mhm.
saying. But I understand, like, acknowledging the opportunity, the peace, and the welcome that you feel,
Right.
however you might present it, however you might ask, or or acknowledge the opportunity and the blessing, however you want to do it. You
Mhm.
literally went to the ocean and said, let's talk about this.
Yeah, I
Okay.
work with the elements because everything is bigger than us. And so
Mhm.
in working with the elements, like, water is an element. So when you use those, and as Black women, we are the prototype. We are the beginning of it all. So we
Mhm.
know how to connect with the elements. If you don't, it's just because colonialism has allowed you to be removed so far from it. But when you are tapping into your ancestry or in ancestral lands of being in ways of practicing, to work with the elements because they're gonna work with you either way, either for you or against you. It's just how we rolling here. So
Mhm.
that was my
Wow.
process. I see a lot of people like just moving, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that because representation does matter, and I understand the sense of urgency that's happening in the States. But I felt it in my when I tell you, in the pit of my stomach in 2022, like something was there is something that's getting ready to happen. I don't know what, but all I know is I don't want to be here when it happens.
Yeah. And I remember, I had been living by that theory that when I did see people leaving, it's like, oh, they have mass amount of money. That's why they could do it. And then
Yeah,
I come to find out that depending on, your situation and what you're trying to achieve, it is not necessary. It's, don't get me wrong.
right,
I'm not going to
exactly.
deny if I had some extra cash, I'd be, living a different kind of way. But I'm very thankful for where I am now.
Yeah,
And the opportunities that has been presented to me now. Um,
yeah,
I've shared that, initially I thought I was moving to Madrid because I'm a city person.
yeah.
And then I found out that God was like, okay, well, you can try to do it your way, or you can listen to me. Okay.
That's what happened to us. Like, Honey's a city person, and I'm not. I was like, I don't want to live in Mexico City. And I knew it wasn't our spot. And I kept saying it wasn't our spot. But sometimes people have to find out fat meat is greasy. So, and okay. And you saw we were literally pushed to San Miguel. I swear on
Mhm.
everything. We hit roadblock after roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. We were like pushed to San Miguel. And I'm so grateful that we were.
Yes. And stuff.
Mhm.
And when you follow that push, that's whatever that's speaking to you, the transition becomes a little bit easier.
Very
Not
much
saying
so.
that, yeah, not saying that there's not going to be any challenges. That is not what I'm saying. But
Right.
it's a different type of challenge that you might experience that you're like, it becomes a little speed bump than a freaking big ass pothole that's going to
Absolutely.
just destroy,
Absolutely.
your whole, journey and stuff. At
Yeah.
least, yeah, that's how I look at it. Definitely.
Mhm.
So, like me, you have 3 adult children?
I do. I got grown babies.
Yes, yeah.
Grown.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
super grown. Yeah. Okay.
I
So,
did.
so what was there when you first, like, when you started this, what was that like for them? Or did that not really impact, or was kind of like, yeah, we're not surprised? Or what was that conversation like?
I don't remember, nor do I even care to remember because they was all living with us. So you gonna
Oh,
leave what you doing, and because also end up selling our house. So the
mhm,
youngest was 19 at the time. Mo was 19. I think she was 19. She was either 18 or 19. I can't remember now because she'll be 21 at the end of the month.
mhm,
She moved with us. So she was 19 when we moved. And she didn't want to leave Atlanta. Titus moved to Portland and Kayla moved back to California. And since then, fast forwarding almost 2 years, Kayla has now moved here permanently, who's the oldest. She'll be 32 soon. And Titus is planning his exit strategy. So he should be out. My goal is to have him out by June. And Mo is considering, who's Mahogany, she is heavily considering moving to Mexico City in the summer. So when I tell
okay.
you, I did a return to sender on all of them babies. Now that I'm out and we're settled, I was using my good mama energy because, I just don't want my kids in the States. It's just not
Yeah.
safe. Hmm.
It's been actually my youngest, her name is Kayla. So yeah, when you
Oh,
said that, yeah.
yeah.
So my youngest, her name is Kayla. So because I was going to ask you about, what is it like about staying connected with, I guess, well, not just with your kids, with family that's still
Yeah.
there. And the reason I ask is because I'll never forget. I saw Halisi from Our Black Utopia talking about how she schedules like family
Mhm.
time,
Mhm.
online, and I've adopted that for the most part. I don't always follow through, but like I've sent my family and friends and stuff that that I'm my life sisters. I send them calendar invites for like, okay, so we're gonna talk once a month on this date, and
Yeah.
it's hard because we're not in the same country. We're
Yeah.
not, not even, we're like clearly not. But you still want to maintain that relationship. How do you maybe still maintain the relationships with family or friends that are still back in the States?
So with my kids, I've always talked, even when we left, I talk to my kids every day. My kids and I are very close. Like we have an Instagram chat, we have a TikTok chat, we got text message chat, we got a WhatsApp chat, we have FaceTime, like group chats. These are all group
Mm.
chats. So even with the two younger ones still being in the States, I still talk. My son calls me once to twice a day. My son has actually become a client of mine. So I have him on the same, like, do this, do this, do this, um, business wise and for his exit strategy. So he's become a client of mine. But I talk to him, I'm really close with my kids and I encourage them to be close with one another because I'm not going to be here forever. So I need you guys
Yeah.
to be connected. My mom is the one who I think I probably talk to the least. I talk to her definitely once to twice a week, but but it's always on FaceTime. I talk to my mom on FaceTime. I talk to everybody on FaceTime. And as far as a girlfriend chat, I have a regularly scheduled. It's like date night. Now, honey is calling it like we was out in the internet streets. Me and Jewel from Miss Bohemian Soul. We
Oh,
have our scheduled weekly chat every Tuesday. So
okay.
that's how I maintain connected, and everything is always video. So I talk to people via video. As far as my family and friends, I don't. We may text. The kids and I will text, but everything is always video. So I get to see faces when I talk to people.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's before I moved here to Spain, it was so funny because my youngest has been here in Spain since 2016, and then my middle daughter's in California, my oldest daughter is in Houston in Texas, and it's funny because the one here in Spain, we talk every day. We would video chat or whatever every single
Oh,
day, and it's so weird because yeah, it's just weird because
yeah.
like I talk to my other daughters and they know I love them and we do have like a WhatsApp group chat and all that. But yeah, but even I'm here in Zaragoza and I still well, and plus the baby, I need the baby to see me so she can
Right,
get rid
right,
of me.
right, right.
But yeah, but we still talk every single day. And it's like if she doesn't answer when I'm calling, and she's the only one that I call on video chat like without hesitation. Because if
Right.
somebody else tried to call me on video chat, I'm like, you don't know what I look like right now, and I don't want you to know.
Right,
Okay.
right.
So
That's a chance you take with me.
yeah.
Well, I may be getting out of the shower, but hello.
And that's so funny. So that's so great um that you have that connection and it's very intentional. And
Mhm.
I always, whenever I talk to anybody that wants to, like I've done some consultations with people that have wanted to possibly move here to Spain. And I do ask them about what their connections look like and, and how will they maintain that if and when they do decide to leave, whether it's to move to Spain or to Mexico or wherever, how do you
Right.
want to maintain that and how will you be intentional about it? It's something
Mhm.
that you need to consider because if not, sometimes people can get really homesick.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
They
Mhm.
get homesick. They don't know how to adjust. They're looking. And sometimes also, I just off topic. Y'all know I go on and off topic. There was somebody within one of the other Facebook groups here that posted the question, how do you find friends in Spain?
You
And
go
I'm like,
outside.
and and funny because so many people like this was like a black
Mhm.
focused group and everything, and so many people replied back. It's like I don't have any friends. I haven't found any yet. I've been here a year, and I'm like, what you doing? Okay.
Yeah, that's something that is interesting because the US and where we come from is very isolative. So
Mhm.
you are taught to be an individual and practice individualism. The rest of the world, especially Black and Brown people, were very communal people. So going into another country and moving abroad, it is going to require that you step outside of your comfort zone. And it requires you putting yourself out there. How are people going to know you're here? How are people going to know who you are? How are people going to know? And it's going to feel uncomfortable initially until it doesn't, because
Yes.
you're starting to put yourself out there and you are becoming a pillar or a recognizable face in your new home. And that's how the rest of the world navigates. It's socializing and being in community is normalized abroad. You can't leave the States and expect to be successful as an individual without a communal mindset. You absolutely have to adapt to a communal way of thinking, living, and being.
And it's so, because I've seen like some of, like, I think it's like what, CNBC or like all those things that talk to people that have left, and the ones that say that they didn't like it and they came back to the States. Most of the time, from what I've read, when I read the story, is they did not build any kind of community
You can't do
at
that.
all.
You
It was
cannot be
like,
successful abroad without community
yeah,
whatsoever. Whatsoever.
you don't want to talk to the locals.
Yeah. I mean
Okay.
both. It's like the locals and the
They
immigrants
expect community. Yeah.
yeah, it's a both thing. But people don't want to put themselves out there. They expect their friends to find, like, knock on their, or their potential friends to knock on their door and fall in their lap. That's not how life works. If you want something, you have to make sure that you do your part.
Yeah, you have to do your own due diligence. And that was one of the things. So when, I mean, because the question that had been posted was, have you found your like best friend, like your new best friend there? And it's like,
Yeah,
well, one, I'm not here to find my new best friend. Now, if that happens, that's great.
yeah,
Don't get me wrong. I'm here
yeah.
to find community so that I can, be comfortable and really enjoy the whole experience of living here. I've
Right.
also said that, please don't go in the, join a Facebook group the day before it get here and then be like, where's everybody at?
Right. Or I didn't see any Black people in Central. We're living, we're not vacationing. That's
We're
another
not
thing.
there waiting on you to show up. Okay, unless we have started some
Just waiting for you
conversation
guys. Yeah.
before.
This is true. I mean, but it's okay because people don't know, like, they don't know. Fortunately, because I think I had cultivated relationships when we went to the Exodus Summit meetup in Cancun in 2022. That's when Rashida and I first met. I had met
Mhm.
the others who were living in Playa at the time. And so when we started doing our tours, or we stayed connected, and then when we went to Mexico City, Sheila took us, she walked the hell out of us. I was like, girl, but we maintained a connection because I did something that I wouldn't normally do in the States. I put myself out there. I'm meeting new people. I'm seeing these Black women for the very first time. Yes, it feels uncomfortable, but when I tell you, as a business owner, I'm used to being uncomfortable. I'm used to what I need to do, to make it work. Okay, I got it. And so I understood in advance. So what it afforded me was, when we did our scouting trips throughout the country, I knew people in places already because I put myself out there. When we went to Playa, when we went to, do we know anybody in Merida? No, but I put myself out there, and me and Carla at the time, we met up, and she brought a couple of other ladies along. Mexico City knew folks. Guadalajara knew D at that time because we had went to Puerto Vallarta and we met. It's just, we ended up doing
Yeah.
that. But that's the thing. And what it has given me the blessing of now is I have the Black women community that I prayed for. And I keep saying that. It's like because I was so isolated in the States. I was the only Black woman business owner who was authentic, because in Atlanta, everybody is so fake it till you make it. But that wasn't my vibe. I'm an Oaklander. We're going to tell you like it is. So that that way of being just was just not Atlanta. And that's okay, but it didn't work for me. But I was very isolated. I checked all of the boxes, had all of the things, but I didn't have community. Now we have a social life. We got dinner plans tonight with friends. We got dinner plans tomorrow with friends. And yes, I have found my good girlfriend community. And I think I got like 30 messages on my phone that I need to check when I'm done here because they're in there just chatting away. Yeah. And
It
I
is. It's
love them.
amazing,
I
and
do.
what I
I
have
love.
said. Huh?
No, I was just saying I love them. Like I tell my friends I love them. I make sure I tell my
Yes.
Black women friends I love you, and they we it's very customary and normalized because I do. You
It's
know,
genuine. It's very genuine. It's
very
like, I
genuine.
care about your well-being. It's not, you know, I,
Right.
I mean, thank goodness I fell out of that a long time ago, but it was for so many years, you were like pit against each other in some kind of way. Like, oh girl, you see what she doing?
Girl,
Like, oh, she has to be
I
doing
don't do
something wrong because she looks too happy. All that. No, no, no. I
that.
I want you to be happy. And I hope that
Absolutely.
you're cheering for me too. But if not, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on now. And when Michelle was gone, because she was gone for like 2.5 months, I think, and she, was out vacation and stuff like that. And stuff was happening in my life. And I was like, okay, I'm glad Michelle is gone. I'm glad she's doing her thing. But then it was like, okay, girl, when you bringing your Black ass home? And so, and she was cracking up at me. I was like, look, child, I was like, you need to get here. So when she texted me one morning, she was like, I'm on my way back. I was like, finally, what took you so long? And she was cracking up because she knew that, and I wanted her to have her experience and her time. But at the same token, I was like, okay, now I'm about to be selfish with you because you've been gone long enough. And she understood that too. So it's just that kind of dynamic.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
because even when I went because I was in Portugal a couple of months ago, it was my third time in Portugal.
Mhm.
I was pet sitting and I met up with Krishan while I was there. And
Yes.
Krishan from Black Silk Global. And it
Yeah.
was just, I met her a few times, but it's like some people that you meet, it just feels like home. Like, hey girl,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
you been?
Krishan is definitely that girl for me because I would never step foot in Portugal and her not know in advance that I'm
Mhm.
coming. And she knows that, like, okay, when I get there, like, she would probably be on one of the primary reasons why when I'm in Europe, like, I would go there because for me, I don't really care to see Portugal, but I would go over there because I need to see my girl.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I invited Krishan to my house for Christmas. I was like, hey, because we're both out there and stuff, and she was going to be doing some traveling. And I just said, hey, you're welcome. You got a place to stay, got a 2-bedroom. It's like, but you're welcome to come. And the only reason was because my landlord would not allow her to bring Bailey. And when I
Oh,
tell you, my landlord didn't know it, but I was giving my landlord much attitude about that. I was just like, she thinks she is. Of course,
right.
she don't know. She just said no and moved on with her life. But I had in my mind, she knew I was cursing her out.
Well, she knew.
Okay.
We gonna let her know energetically. We'll send her that.
Oh my goodness. So okay, so you have and again, before we started the live, I didn't know that your business that you sold before you came here, before you came to Mexico, was your doula.
Company. I had a company.
Yes,
Hmm.
and you sold that right before you left, or in the midst of it.
I sold it. The sale ended in November 2023.
Mhm.
So 3 months after I left the States, but it was a part of my exit strategy. I'm really big on exit strategies, business
Okay.
and or personal. And so, yeah, I sold my company.
So well, that's
I
cool. I mean, so it was something that, and this is going to lead into your other businesses, but you said that it was part of your exit strategy. Was it something that you knew it was doing good, and you were just like, I can let this go now? You feel like it had run its course, or it went to the level that you're like, I don't want to stress myself out about this anymore. Um, how did that come about? As far as knowing that that was part of your exit strategy and that you weren't going to try to take it with you.
So I decided to sell my company in 2021. And in order to
Oh, okay.
to successfully sell a business. It usually takes about an average of 2 years. And so when I connected with my mergers and acquisition attorney, she was excellent with me too, because she had to talk me off a cliff. And when I created my company, I was already in that industry for 17 years. And I just created what was missing for us as Black women. And since the United States is, as we already know, the Black maternal mortality and morbidity rate is what it is in the country, there was no services or educational components that was specifically designed for us. Having been tenured in that field for like 17 years, I knew that. So I created a company. A job as a business owner is to always answer a problem. You are to provide the solution. And so when I launched the company in 2017, the national company, because I had already been in business for myself, in 2017, October 25th to be exact, I would get messages like, "Are you even Black?" Because my name doesn't look Black or sound Black. And then, but I'm the smart ass that I am. I'm like, well, Google me. And so, ciao. And so, but anyway, but I knew at that particular time that I would not, that was not for me. Like the company was never for me. And I would say that I didn't create this for Tracie. It was not about me. It was about making sure I answered the problem that we were facing as either Black birthing professionals and Black women in the Black maternal mortality rate and morbidity rate in the United States. And as a result, there were, great alignments that came along and partnerships that came along with that. But I knew then in 2017 that I was not going to keep that company forever. And oftentimes, one of the major mistakes business owners make is going into and creating a business or brand without having the exit in mind. You always have to have an exit in mind. So when I made the decision to finally start seeking out professional support, because I have to have professional elements in place, others to come in and strategize my exit to sell my company, it started in 2021 and it sold in 2023.
Okay. Do you feel like, and you can choose not to answer this, do you feel like you sold it to someone that cared about our community just as much as you did?
I had the perfect buyer. She would, and that's why you always have to make sure how you're showing up in the world, because people are always watching. And she had been a part of my company from inception. And when I tell you, she like applied everything, she like leaned in, like in retrospect, she leaned in on like everything that I said, everything that I taught from the time that she became connected with me and to me. And she grew her own business exponentially while she was a member of the company. And my company had two components. It was the professional aspect where clients can find you, and or through educational components. So people would train with us. And so when she started out in the field, she was a newbie. And because of just leaning on every word, the teachings, and following my same style, she ended up being the buyer. And I would have never thought that the buyer would. And I had a doctor who was interested. I think he was in Ohio or Iowa, one of the two, but he didn't have a vested interest in the company itself. It was more about just acquiring a company because wanting to have Black women attached to it. And that happens a lot in no matter what industry, because we're always ahead of the curve as Black women. And having a company, with DEI or DEIA, they know that. So, but my buyer came from within, and then she was she continues to be the perfect, and she still makes sure that she meets with me like once a quarter just to maintain the integrity of the company. And if I have to step in to work with strategy and or corporation alignment, and I'll come in and do that because that's where my expertise lies now. But she still maintains connection to me.
Wow, that's amazing. And I think, and I'm so happy that you were able to find, a buyer that definitely aligns with your values and expectations for the growth of the
Mm.
company. Because, you hear about, I can't remember if it was Carol's Daughter, whatever the hair companies are, that started, by a Black woman, somebody's auntie that really, had this product. But in order to scale up, they had their exit strategy in place. But I just remember, I can't remember if it was Carol's Daughter or one of the other black owned
Then Carol's
hair
Daughter,
products.
because L'Oreal bought Carol's Daughter, and it's
Mm-hmm.
been Miel. Procter and Gamble brought, I think Procter and Gamble brought Miel, and then Honey Pot was recently sold or sold to. I forgot who she sold her company to,
And but
but
the thing was, what was so funny about it was some people in our community were like, "You sell out." It's like they had an exit strategy.
now
Now,
please,
the behind the scenes nuances of it, whether or not they kept the integrity, I don't know. I'm not going to speak on that. But they had an exit strategy so
yeah,
that it can go to whatever the next level was. But
yeah,
some people didn't understand that concept. I think mostly in our communities, they did not understand the concept that once you get to a certain level, the plan was that you would have to make moves that maybe can take it even further. I don't know what that looks like. Um,
yeah. Yeah,
but,
and that's the difference between us and them. We're taught just to
mhm,
work. We're not taught to exit. We're not taught to leave. We're not taught to scale up. We're not taught to pivot, really. We're not taught to create assets and then sell them. I teach that. I not only teach that, I make sure that my clients are embodying like sellable components within their business model, because I'm looking at it from a multifaceted entity that I'm helping them build out. So you should never ever think that you're going to be in the same place 5 years from now. What does
yeah,
that look like?
yeah. Or because I've had this happen with a family friend who has a business and thought that, oh, we're just gonna pass it down. I'm gonna pass it down to my child. And the child was like, I don't
No,
want that.
yeah,
It's like your
they
dream is
don't.
not my dream.
Yeah, absolutely
And they were
not.
upset. They were like, I really wanted her to take. Well, what you want and what's real are two different things. Okay.
And I would never want that for my children. Like the company that I had, I wouldn't want that for them. My
Hmm.
job is to teach them the strategies that I know so they can then they're repeat it and do it for themselves. In whatever capacity.
And so I've had that conversation. I remember it so very well when speaking to my friend and just him just being upset because his child did not want to continue the journey. And what's so funny was I just remember he hates what he does now. He really hates it. The
See,
person that owns the company. And I'm like, what is your exit? Because you seem stressed as
yeah, yeah. And that's the thing. Stop creating businesses without thinking about how it's either going to dissolve, how you're going to scale it to sell it. Like there has to be an exit plan in place. You don't have to implement it, but you have to make sure, because creating a business is a whole different strategy versus selling a business. It's a whole
Mhm.
different beast. And but I will say this, I'm a better businesswoman because I've done it, and I'm glad that I've done
Gone through
it.
the whole process.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you
Yeah.
did the full cycle.
Yeah, and
Okay.
this was actually my second company that I sold. So
Oh,
I sold my
wow.
individual practice when I moved from Oakland to Atlanta, and then I created another company, and I since sold that one.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Here says, I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know that they didn't understand the concept, but I think that the issue of Black business owners are thought to have more responsibility for the integrity of the company. White folks just care about profit. So, I mean,
There is no
that
emotions in
addiction
there.
strategy, and yeah, I don't know. I think
There
were
is
you
no
talking about the hair
emotion.
products and like, yeah, they weren't really concerned about like the quality. They were like, oh, we still have this chemical that's going to preserve the product for years of shelf life. I don't versus
Yeah.
when it's just made in the kitchen.
See, but the problem is, and I agree with this statement, but the way things are looked at in businesses is black, white, and green. Black, white is the contract, green is the money. All of that other stuff is just emotion. And I agree with the statement, but at the end of the day, it's really about dollars and cents. It's
Absolutely.
just true. Yeah.
Wow.
Hmm.
So now you have tell us about women who lead. What inspired you to create this space? What is the goal of
With leaders,
yes.
yeah. So it's so funny because how that came to be was a year journey. So oftentimes when people who are in our positions who have implemented some form of like moving abroad and creating a new life for themselves, I not only moved abroad but also sold a company simultaneously. So I had to deal with two exits at the same time, and it was a big mind fuck. And it was a big like, what am I going to do now? What is going to be, and I would term it like my next level of influence. And then one day I think I was laying on the floor in right here in our space, and I said to myself, or I had an epiphany, like, Tracie, like everything that you created, nobody could take that away from you. And it was a light bulb moment for me. But even then, it was like, okay, how am I going to teach other women to do the same thing that I did? That was really important to me. And in between that moment, I don't remember when that was. I would say probably maybe about 8 months ago, eight, 9 months, maybe 8 months ago, I took a masterclass training, and I met with one of the coaches in there, and she said to me, and I told her what I did. She says, "Oh, you help women create scalable, sellable businesses." I said, "That's it." And so, me playing with terminology as I always do, because I look at myself, and I was a woman in leadership, meaning like I'm leading other women, like I lead other people one way or another. Even if you were leading folks in your household, you are a woman in leadership. And so but I work with women who are high value or have high value businesses and or customer base. And so as a woman in leadership, then I started playing with the terminology. And in that, the spelling came about differently because the leadership collection was recently launched last month. So it has its own brand with, you can buy leader shirts and journals and tumblers, mugs, like, CEO mode, whatever. Those are all, the apparel is over there. And the store was LEADHER. And I was like, that's
Yes.
it. That's
Yes.
it. And so, but the Leader Collective started prior to that, and where women in business join, and they can be in community with other women, and I come in and I'll do insights, and we meet every Tuesday morning, for either an accountability session and or masterclass and business strategy sessions, and they get to meet other women in different industries. So from attorneys to project management to real estate to technology to, I'm trying to just name them off the top of my head, to virtual assisting to oh God, what am I missing? Graphic design, which also falls under technology. So women in different industries who are leading their own companies. And because we also understand that networking matters. And I work with women who are in the digital space. I don't like, for Tracie, I'm not a fan of brick and mortar because I want to have the flexibility to work from anywhere in the world. And I knew that in 2015 when I created my company. In 2017, I started distancing myself from trading my physical presence or time for money. I really wanted to be able to work from anywhere. So the Leadership Collective is that, and it is a component of women in different sectors helping to lead other women. And now the Leadership Store has her own merch. And there's the Leader Lounge where I just released a video this week where they get specific business insights and strategy video. It's a video lounge where I can come in and I'll just drop videos that are specific to the leaders in that space.
Okay. Wow. So I want to go back and just ask another question before we move forward.
Yeah.
Because you said you were doing two different exits. You were exiting when you sold your business, and then you were exiting the country. Did you
Mhm.
have any kind of like, which one did you have more emotions about, the business or leaving the country? Did you have any kind of like, oh, I can't believe this is like some kind of emotional release? Was there one that you had more over the other? Or you were just kind of like, I'm out and I don't care. I got my money.
I
Bye.
was over it. I was over everything. I was over it. Like that, what you noticed about me, how I don't really, it applied there. I was over it. I
Okay.
was ready. I was done. Everybody understands, because everybody is facing the same or experience the same with the United States. I was over it. And
Okay.
with my company, I knew that I needed to focus all that energy that I poured into nationally and internationally to other people. I needed to redirect that energy to me. And with the leaders, I just feel so connected because it brings me such joy to help women create scalable, sellable businesses. When I tell you I'm a Black girl cheerleader for real, because your win is my win. You're just a mere reflection of me, vice versa. And it just get like I'm that Black girl who you see on social media behind the scenes, like, yes, because it's not a competition. There's room at the top for all of us. They have made you think there's only room for one. Fuck them. I work on a collective, mindset, but also I understand that everybody is not like-minded, and I'm okay with that. But
Yeah.
those who are, like, we definitely vibe.
And the thing is, well, one, I wanted to say, because you were saying that you were talking to in your master class and they helped you like kind of envision what it is that
Mm-hmm.
you could see it, but you couldn't quite see it. It's like, and they gave you that clarity. And that's so true with me. Sometimes like when you're trying to like flesh out the ideas of,
Mm-hmm.
of, of what your goals are. And then sometimes you can just talk to somebody and within 2 seconds, it's like, that's it.
I was like,
That's what I like.
and it's like I didn't even come up with the tagline. Like I didn't come up with that. But that also speaks to we also need someone who is either outside of our sphere with a little bit more influence or a little bit seasonality to them to be like, this is it. And it's as leaders, we always know that we have to continue to pour into ourselves from an educational standpoint, from a wellness aspect. We always have to take care of ourselves because we understand the impact that we have. So yeah.
Wow. So that's get you. Um, I was about to ask another question, but I was like, nope, that doesn't work. So what are some of the biggest barriers that you feel like Black women face in leadership as far as like entrepreneur, like um, I guess some examples about just navigating the spaces and how do you possibly talk them through overcoming it? I mean, is it tough love? Like, girl, get over it. Or are you like, let me hold your hand and like therapist kind of way? Like, I hear you. What is your, I guess, technique, so to speak, or is it individualized?
A lot of times we're not used to betting on ourselves. We're used to external, or we seek external validation. And in the entrepreneurial space, it can be lonely, which is the reason why I created the collective, was because I did not want them to feel alone. Um, but we have to bet on ourselves. We have to stop seeking external validation, because if creator gave it to you, it's meant for you to execute, and not everybody can hold your dream or aspiration and understand that it's sacred. I also see, and we talked about this recently, I think it was last week in the leadership space, we talked about imposter syndrome and giving it a different term. And Jewel was like, no, that's internalized white syndrome, meaning white people put that in place to make us, there's systems in place to make Black women feel inferior, like we're not good enough, we're just meant to work, we always have to prove our
How
worth.
dare you
Well,
believe in
how
yourself?
dare you? How dare? It's like, do you know I could build this table? It's like, do you know that you're breathing the same air I am, and how privileged you are to be in my presence? So, like, giving it back to where it came from and not embodying that anymore. So, I see the whole betting on yourself and calling it and reterming it, and I'm giving it back to Jewel because she came up with the term. Is that's we're not internalizing that white syndrome anymore. I am overqualified, number one, because I am the prototype, and oftentimes Black women are overqualified, the most qualified, in any industry and sector. So it really embodying that, and it leads to like betting on yourself, but also making sure that you understand like the systems when it comes to business implementation. And it just means that it just hasn't been taught to us. We're used to giving our power away and our ideas and innovation away to other companies and building those dreams. I just turn it back around on you and make sure you're building your own.
Mm. Mm-mm. In your own times of, I mean, I know you super cool, but in times of self-doubt that maybe you've experienced, what is maybe a phrase or something that you've told yourself, like, that you're like, again, I've been like, girl, if you don't, I talk tough love to myself. I do.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be like, girl, you better get up and do it anyways. Okay. So
Yeah.
what are some of the words that you use when you might have doubt?
Yeah. So in my company with the national company, when I would get on live on Instagram in years, probably like in 2017, 2018, and just talk about my work. And they were like, Tracie, we want you to teach us. And I was like, I ain't teaching y'all nothing. This was before I incorporated the educational component. And I was like, I'm not, because I took that very seriously. And they were like, no, Tracie, we want you to, like, you need to have courses and trainings. And one day it was me, and Creator was like, why not you? And when I tell you, that was like a light bulb moment that changed my company, because that was instilled to this day is the number one revenue driver is the educational piece. And so because I listened to that and not went with my first, I ain't doing that. It was a part of my sale, and it still maintains to be the number one revenue driver for that company.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
And you don't, you have your hand in different things and you're working out and you don't know which one is going to be the biggest driving the revenue. What are some of, like, okay, so your number one is education and teaching people how to, and then what are some of your other services or things that you provide that has been very well received from your clients or your community or the community?
So I have the collective space, but I also work with women individually to build their business infrastructure, but also to implement sellable components within their business model. Because I'm looking at it from all angles. They're looking at it like, Tracie, I don't know what to do. Help me get started. But I'm looking at it like, okay, 5 years from now, how can we sell this piece? 10 years from now, how can we sell this? Because I understand what a potential buyer is going to need to have in place, because certain things have to be put in place for businesses to sell. So I work with women individually as well.
Okay. And so I was talking to a couple of weeks ago, I interviewed Tranica from Melanin Madrid, and she just completed like this whole Move to Madrid course that she had, like, she disappeared for months and she came back and she's like, here it is. And it's like perfectly outlined and everything. And I know for me, I can't do courses. I am one, I know the type of person that I am, and my offering, and I'm about to do a little pitch, by the way. So
okay, go ahead.
my strength is entertaining, like the in-person experience. So, like, for instance, this April, meetup, 3 days in Madrid, 3 days in Zaragoza. This one is more of a meetup because I'm collaborating with Tranica, with Melanin Madrid, to have like an awesome, like, opening day experience. And then come June, I'm actually going to be I'm creating a small, more curated experience for those, like a very small group. But I want to I know that I'm one that I want to showcase and give and really let people see the beauty if they're considering either bopping around, staying here, or whatever. Giving them that wonderful experience. And I learned from when I did a meetup in October that leaving everything up to someone else to handle makes me nervous. So I'm like, how about once you get off the plane, I just make sure you got everything covered.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We just do it that way. So then you don't have to think. You're not going to get on the wrong train.
Right.
You're not going to have some taxi driver take you all around the city and screw you over some money. That's not going to happen. I'm going to make sure that everything is done. So that's my strength. So, and by the way, if anybody's interested, if you want to come to the meetup in April 13th to the 19th in Spain, Madrid and Zaragoza, please go to the link. I have the Facebook group Black in Zaragoza that I created.
Right.
Or on Facebook, you can actually go to the forums and sign up for the email subscription. And I will
Love
get you the information that way. Okay.
Love
but okay. So, but your strengths and your ability, because one, you've already went through it, you've already gone through this whole full cycle journey of selling your business, and so now you know how to actually give this or bring on clients that need your services, because they need you to be their everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, like you're like the mental coach to coach them through everything and to get them ready, and talk them through you're talking them through everything. It's like whenever you're like as a supervisor or a manager at other companies, I come to realize that no, it's not just about like you have to have these numbers. Literally, you are their therapist to help them overcome.
Yeah, I mean, because I know I needed it. Our job as business owners is to answer a problem. You solve the problem. So what I'm listening to, when you tell me about the experiences that you're offering, I'm hearing that you've solved a problem. And oftentimes people create businesses based on what they think that they want. And they think that other people want the same thing. No, as a business owner, your job is to solve a problem. Your job is to look for a hole in the marketplace and to be that answer, to be that solution. So you are that solution. You are not going to let the people that work with you get on the wrong train, have wrong experiences, lose money, have a disappointing experience. Should they go through you, this is what will happen. Should they experience you, you will save them so much, and you will also elevate their experience. So how I hear differently. And that's what happens is when people tell me whatever their business infrastructure or their structure is or their industry is and what their goal is, I have them think why. I listen to everything they got to say, everything. And based upon their business goal and what works for the marketplace, my job is to narrow it down to where it's now focused. Now we can execute with a strategy.
I'm listening to her right now, y'all. Just FYI, I'm like, she's saying me directly. This is my session.
Yeah. So you've answered a problem, and what's going to happen is you're going to hear more of where the needs are, and you are going to curate your business model based on those needs, because it's going to be a collective need that you are going to hear. It's going to be the same thing. It may be verbalized differently, but it's still going to end up being the same need. So you will be able to solve that with your business structure, your business model.
Yes. So, and I'm excited,
And people are going to pay you handsomely for it. People are going to pay you. People are going to pay you for it. Because people are going to pay you. Not just pay. I'm talking about handsomely for it. And the reason why is because they know that going through your experience is inevitably going to save them. It's going to save them. And you should be really asking, what would happen if you didn't use me?
Yeah. And I do the same thing as far as because I also do like accounts receivable, and I've done the same thing as far as like making sure that people know. It's like, so on that side, as far as my accounting, I'm like, what's your numbers looking like right now?
Yeah.
How's that going? It's like, you're like, oh, I have one of the big things that I've seen is like, people are like, oh, my office manager handles the accounts receivables. And it's like, are they really?
Yeah.
How's that going? What is the percentage of outstanding right now in your revenue that's like you don't even know what the status is? Why they're not paying this. And I do business to business accounts receivable stuff. So
and that's what I love about business infrastructure, because the processes and the systems are the same across the board, no matter the industry. And that's what I love about it. And people think that, oh my God, it's so different and it's so tedious. And it's like, really, when you get it, you got it. It's so easy because it's implemented across the board.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I have just a couple more questions because I know, I'll be on here all night long, so I know you got stuff to do, but yes. So as far as, I'm going to pivot a little bit and just go to like, so your experience in Mexico, what advice would you give people that are actually considering right now? I know like a lot of people are coming from the US and trying to move to Mexico, and everybody's on the mad dash to get their passports, or to get their, not their passports, their residency, to be accepted, because Mexico's right next door. But what would you do? How would you have people, or tell people how to push past whatever fears that they might have to make their moves?
Can you afford to stay in the States? Like, really, with the cost of, I mean, them manipulating the cost of services with the eggs. I just met with a client who is dealing with the cost of healthcare. You can't afford, the United States is designed to kill you one way or another. It's designed to rob you and kill you and steal from you. You can't afford to stay. And so coming up with the perfect plan or the easiest plan to make your exit. And you don't realize how entangled you are until you start to detangle yourself from the United States. Unfortunately, being citizens of the United States, you will always have to deal with the taxation part of it. But yeah, I would be like, you can't afford to stay. So I think I will reverse psychology and be like, what's happening with you? Like the cost of healthcare, the cost of living, and the cost of goods and services. How much is that costing you?
Yes. I had somebody reach out to me today who I hadn't talked to in a while. She was a dear friend that she worked under me like some years ago, but she was asking how it's going. And I try not to, make it sound like I'm gloating. And she's like, how you doing? I'm like, great.
Yeah.
She's like,
how you?
Yeah. I'm like, dude, I mean, I work part-time. I make what I was making full-time. And then my expenditures are 25% of what I was spending in what I was paying in the US.
Yeah.
I was just on a walk yesterday. I was stressing myself out because I went to the doctor. I just needed to get my, all my blood work done. And I was having the hardest time trying to find where to go, because they call like where a laboratory, they call it a clinical analysis place here. They call it something else. So anyways, I got up on Monday morning and I just said, just bring the paperwork with you, and just go for your walk. Just go for your walk. And I passed. I have DKV insurance here, and I saw the building, and I walked in, and I brought the paper. I was speaking Spanish, and I was like, here's the paperwork, the blood work paperwork. And she says, oh, see, come in. 15 minutes. Nice. I went in, got my blood drawn, got the whole blood panel drawn. And then she helped me set up my appointment for some other stuff that I had to get done. And I was out within 30 minutes, and I was like,
nice.
Walking in. Oh my
nice.
God, this is great. Okay.
Nice. Yeah, and it's okay to gloat, because I call the United States a third world country. How y'all doing?
Baby.
Let's call it what it is, because it is.
We believe that lie for so long, and they're like, oh no, it's not true. It is absolutely not true. It sucks.
And more people are seeing it that way.
Yeah. Well, Tracie, this has been absolutely wonderful.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yes, I'm just so thankful that I get to do this. Why? Just because I want to share. I want to get the word out. And so I'm always thankful that I get to talk to people like Tracie Collins. And she just, and you know what, when I'm talking, it's like I'm sharing, but also I'm getting my insight also. I'm getting my education too. Yes, it's class time. Yes, my therapy session, my class time, all of that.
Thank you so much.
Great. And thanks everybody for coming on Luxury Bucket List. Aileen, how you doing, love? I will see you hopefully this Sunday. I don't know. Everybody's in Vietnam right now. They're all over, just floating around right now, having a good time. But thank you, and you have a great evening. And I'm trying to get back over to my stuff. Okay, and I love you much, girl. You take care.
All right, now I'll talk to you later.
Hold on.